Yes.
What's your vision for the kind of education that a new investor should embrace?
In terms of a younger student, when you started today, so I think a few things will be important. A, to always adopt a owner's mentality. And so I like to really ask a young student or analyst at our firm, basically to imagine all of a sudden that one of your unknown uncle died and handed over 100% ownership to the company to you. And that's the business you're going to study. So any company, think starting point that way. And once you really kind of think your own 100% of it, your mentality is totally different. So you never know that business existed. Now you're 100%. You have no idea how to run it. You don't know the people who run it. What do? You want to know everything. Everything you can possibly get your hands on. And a lot of the things you know, you don't understand. You just know the facts. You don't understand it. But that's okay. You're going to continue to learn until you get a handle of it. And even if then, because of the constant change, you're going to continue to evolve your knowledge of it. Now, if you adopt that mentality, study any businesses, you have really started the process of becoming a real value investor. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you really want to maintain intellectual honesty. And that is very, very, very important. You have to be really honest of what you know, what you assume, what you pretend subconsciously, and what you don't know. And how do you really know that? One of the things that Charlie have talked about that I think make the most sense is he always said that I'm never entitled to have a view until I can find the smartest people on the planet who took the other side of that view. And I can argue better that opposition than he does. And when I can do that, I would be entitled to have a view. Same thing and applies to investing in the sense that intellectual honesty is a good life philosophy to begin with. It is a critical, it is a vital when it comes to investment. Because as I said, the security market always exists to really point it, to find your weaknesses, your dishonesty, your pretension, your wishy-washy knowledges. And if you do not really possess that fundamental attitude of intellectual honesty, you'll be destroyed at some point during your career by the financial market. It was almost designed that way, to catch you. You want to really devote as much time as possible to a study of the history of the businesses and the history of great businessmen in the past. The more you study more companies, the better you are when it comes to judgment on good opportunities and the judgment about the fundamental characteristic of the company you're interested in. And so I say all three things are important. To start with the 100% owner mentality, to continue to train yourself to have a high degree of intellectual honesty. And lastly, to be a thorough student of the history of the businesses. All three things are really going to be very helpful if you are beginning to get into the field of investment, or you want to really improve your game. So that's my advice to the younger students.
Okay, so let me do one last question. Do you prefer to be a generalist or a specialist investor?
Well, in a sense, you always want to be a generalist in terms of a student of businesses. To be good at this game, you have to have the innate, intensive curiosity about a business, all kinds of businesses. It doesn't mean you're going to really get to the bottom of it. Oftentimes you don't, if you're honest with yourself. But by the time you really get into the companies you really decided to invest, you really better become a true specialist. And to the point you really know, hopefully better than anybody in the world you can find, including the top management team. And the top management team, because they manage the company, they tend to be deeply personally vested in their own biases and may not be able to look at the business as objectively, rationally as you do. And so that's a really test. So you want to be a true specialist in the company you chose to really invest. But you want to be a generalist always of business in general, so that your core competence, your circle of competence can constantly evolving and enlarging over time. If I still really know what I knew when I started, when I first took the class or when you first invest with me, we will not really have anywhere near the result that we both enjoyed. And so luckily that we continue to expand, we continue to learn. But on the other hand, it is fascinating to see that how business evolved over the last few decades will continue to evolve in the next few decades. And that really makes me feel that, boy, I'm lucky to choose this field that I get paid to really satisfy my curiosity and to learn all those great people and great enterprises serving society. So I feel happy every day doing what I do.